At the story's beginning, a man has been looking for his missing son. He is distributing the flyers himself after receiving zero hope from the police department. But more than a year has passed, and there has been no progress. A police officer named Go Yoon is sad to see this man's poor condition, but she can't do anything for him. At night, that man is seen to be about to end his life on a bridge, but then he finds Rainbow Taxi's contact number at that bridge, where it is mentioned that he did not need to end his life, but talk to the taxi service about his problem. Sung Cheol gets a call from him and assigns Dogi to pick him up. Once in the taxi, the man narrates how he was a single man raising his son. He claims that he raised his son as a very nice person, despite the financial challenges. As the mother died at a very young age, the father was the only one to raise his son. Once the son, Dong-jae, grows into a full man, he realizes his father is in debt. So Dong-jae wanted to go to Vietnam on a study scholarship to gain opportunities for their future lives. The father was also willing to send away his son for 2 years after the young guy was selected as an exchange student in Vietnam. The man sends his son Dong-jae off happily, but 10 months later, when there is no contact from Dong-jae for 15 days straight, the man gets worried. He contacts Dong-jae's friends and learns that his son has paid off his debt. The young boy's friends claim that Dong-jae had been abroad for a job and not to study. The man is pissed off when he learns about his son's sacrifice and flies to Vietnam to find him. There he learns that the company mentioned in Dong-jae's contract documents was a sham. Just then, he receives a call from an unknown number. The father recognizes the voices as his own son, but the call disconnects before he can say anything. Then, Dong-jae's father files a complaint about his son being missing, but the cops assume that Dong-jae has fled because he is an adult now and wants an independent life. The chief of that police department tells him that Dong-jae had called the Vietnam embassy and asked them to tell his father to stop contacting him as he doesn't want to come back home. But the father doesn't believe that his son could say anything like this. That's why the man has now made it his life's mission to find Dong-jae. He prints a lot of brochures to find his son and starts distributing them all over the city. After some days, he finds an employment letter from Dong-jae asking him to back off from looking for him as he had made a life for himself abroad. The writing of that letter also matches the writing of Dong-jae. The cops tell him that the number that Dong-jae called from was a place famous for its casinos, and add that maybe he also had turned into a gambler. Back in the present, Sung Cheol and Dogi analyze the letter and find a cryptic Morse code message indented at the bottom of the letter. Dogi states that Dong-jae served as an operations leader during his mandatory enlistment. A flashback shows Dong-jae being beaten up by a few men who make him write a letter to his dad. In the Rainbow Taxi headquarters, Dogi decodes the SOS message from Dong-jae and finds out that Dong-jae wants help. On the other hand, the man presses the blue button on the video message from Rainbow Taxi to start the mission to save his son. Soon after, Dogi takes his taxi and drives it out of the basement to start the mission. With only 2 out of its 5 members working the job, Rainbow Taxi seems to be facing some technical glitches. At first, Dogi learns that the office in Vietnam is actually an under-construction building in South Korea. Then he finds that the company has changed to a new name, now and again needs new employees for it. So Dogi applies for the same overseas job as Dong-jae. With just him and Sung Cheol, it seems that the mission will be a lot more difficult than they anticipated. Sung Cheol chickens out and wants them to think about a better plan of action for this mission, but Dogi takes the flight regardless. The next day, the previous member of the Rainbow Taxi, Kyung-gu and Jin-yeon, are united again. Ji-yeon is going to Russia for 5 years for a job, and he wants to meet Sung Cheol for once. Though they both tried to meet Sung Cheol earlier, Sung Cheol reprimanded them and asked them not to come again there. Still, they arrive at Rainbow Taxi to meet Sung Cheol, but are surprised to see that it is closed. They wait in Sung Cheol's cabin only to find Dong-jae's missing poster. They quickly understand that Rainbow Taxi is back in service, so they rush to the secret basement. At first, Sung Cheol becomes happy by seeing them, but then he kicks them out because he doesn't want to put them in danger. They take Dong-jae's flyer with them and think that Dogi must have been on a mission, so they take the flyer to Go Yoon. But Go Yoon is busy with her job, so she doesn't pay much attention to them. Back in Vietnam, Dogi is received by a driver from the company who drives him to a remote location. Sung Cheol tries his best to screen the number plates for the vehicles as Dogi sends him images of his spectacles from the camera. A representative from the company where Dogi is going takes the mobile phones of all the candidates and takes them on a ship to an island. Then, they are transported in a pickup truck to an unknown location, and their faces are covered with black clothes. Later, we see Dogi tied upside down to a hook and beaten up alongside two other men who applied for the position. The leader of the group tells them that their job would be to make online games as computer engineers. With these games, the men plan on extorting money from young players. The man sends Dogi and the other two recruits to study how these games are made, and Dogi finds many other young boys in the isolated rooms. They look like more of a prison cell where newly kidnapped people are locked and forced to work. Back in the headquarters, Sung-cheol is helpless at Go-eun's desk as he can't do the technical work that Go-eun used to do. So he is thinking about calling her, but she calls him instead and learns that Rainbow Taxi is indeed back in business. Meanwhile, Kyung-gu and Ji-eon try to get the police to help in the matter of Dong-jae's father finding his son, but the police behave very rudely with them. Ji-eon sneakily takes photos of the police records on Dong-jae's case, while Kyung-gu creates a scene to distract the cops. At the same time, Dogi is put into a room and thinks of ways to escape. He sees the book of programming in which Dong-jae wrote that he wanted to go back home. In the meantime, one of the new recruits runs away from the gangsters, but the man ends up finding a Korean restaurant that is far from the location where they were kept. He meets the restaurant owner there and asks them to call the embassy. But as it turns out, the hotel owner is in on the scam and hands the recruit over to the gang leader, Sang Man. Sung-cheol is in a fix trying to get the computers to work when he accidentally presses a button, which causes a short circuit, just as Go-eun rushes to help out. Kyung-gu and Ji-eon are on their way to Vietnam to help Dogi, while Go-eun works with Sung-cheol to get in touch with him. Dogi manages to sneak out of his room and finds his spectacles in the room where the gangsters are seated. As Dogi takes a look around the place, the gangsters punish the new recruit for trying to flee away. In the meantime, Dogi tries to connect with Sung-cheol, but is shocked to hear Go-eun from the other end. The lady wants to know if Dogi is really okay or not, so our man flips the spectacles on himself to show that he is really okay. They chat about the case.